Welcome everybody to the 18th Annual Tallgrass Film Festival. Thank you for joining us. We want to thank our sponsors and everyone joining us today on this virtual exciting roller coaster that we're having this year. Thank you so much. We have with us today Monica Blitz from 59th Street Bridge. Thank you so much for being here today. Monica is an actor. She's a director and a writer, and she did all those parts in this short that she created. And also, she is the curator of Keep It Weird Wichita. Is that right?
Keep Wichita Weird. Yeah, for sure. I've been.
So do check that out. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today with us. So what maybe you don't realize is when watching the short, this was a 6-minute short that was created in the Take 36 36-hour film competition. So she and her friend had 36 hours to create that really incredible film. So with having such a limited time frame to create such a really full and complete film, what was your inspiration for that? How did you kind of dive in and start writing and creating the film?
I definitely feel like the inspiration came out of necessity because I had planned on having other actors and other crew members, and my main creative partner, my sister, who is the cinematographer for everything I do. I was planning on everyone being there that weekend, but I was exposed to COVID, and so was Lizzie, and so we both were just here, and we're like, we can't have anybody over, but we're still gonna do it. So it's just the two of us and our cell phones. So we thought we had to write something that we both didn't have to be on screen at the same time, that would be good if we weren't talking to each other back and forth. And from that kind of snowballed the idea of cutting back and forth between like letter writing between two people, so we never had to. So if I played an extra body in the background, if I played Lizzie's mom or something, like I could do that, and because we just didn't have anybody else around. So it kind of snowballed from that. Having it be set in like the 90s and everything is just basically because everything I do is set in the 80s or 90s. I have collected a lot of props and things like that over time because that is basically the only time frame that I set anything in, just because I love the aesthetic of everything and it's a lot of fun. So we just like, oh, let's put that in the 90s too. But yeah, it was basically born out of what limited resources we had.
Man, and really impressive. I've watched it like 15 times. I like it so much, and I'm just really fascinated with how thick and remarkable and deep the dialogue is. Like those are it's just a stream of consciousness of like really, really big, really, really nostalgic thoughts, that you definitely have whenever you're a bit younger, and these are like the things you're typing to a friend. Really incredible. How on earth are these like things that are just constantly rolling through your head, or did you guys just like have a spitfire of like ideas, or how'd that happen?
I am super into personality types, especially the Enneagram. Have you heard of the Enneagram at all?
Yes, I have. I think I'm a type 4.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So I'm a type 5 and Lizzie's a type 4. Okay. So I thought if I was like, okay, I'm going to base these characters off of these types, not necessarily after us specifically, but after our types, and use us as like inspiration for like kind of feelings and thoughts we had growing up and now even, and trying to write in those two different voices because they're similar but different at the same time. So I definitely use that as the main thought process behind everything. And for people who don't know what the Enneagram is, it's just like a personality type thing between 1 and 9, and depending on how you were raised and what kind of upbringing you had, you kind of just deal with stress or inspiration and motivation in different ways. And so you guys like do definitely check that out. It's just really cool. I'm really obsessed with it, so that's definitely the go-to way that we approached it. And so with little moments that I tried to have be pretty intimate and like kind of hit close to home a little bit for some people. Not all of them were necessarily things that me or Lizzie have experienced personally, but some of them were. And I don't know, I like things to feel like close and just, I don't know, it was really stream of consciousness. And I think it was just one of those things where we just tried really, really hard to make it feel relatable. Because I'm a big fan of character-driven stories. Like, there's not really a plot. There's no plot in there. Like, there's nothing really going on, but it's just two voices back and forth. And I just feel like it's a lot of fun to have people that you care about, like immediately, that you just care about somebody within the first like few moments of meeting them because you like find a little bit of yourself in there. So yeah, it's basically just a lot of energy, and we don't have a lot of time, and it was just like writing like crazy. So yeah, definitely stream of consciousness and pulling from just our pasts and things like that for sure.
I definitely, as I was watching, was like, that's me, that's me, that's not me, but I have friends like that. Like, I really felt connected instantly. And I love that you were able to, as you're saying, like really deep, full, meaningful things, and then cut off, and you still know exactly what they're gonna say, and you in your heart know like how the rest of that conversation went, because you automatically start filling in like conversations that you've had with friends before. I really love that it's just because it is like quarantine, stay at home. It's that very much like we're on our computers. This is how we connect with people when we feel isolated, and that like perfect connection and kind of moment that you're having in there. One of the phrases that just like it tickled me. I mean, every single thing was just like you're laughing and you're like feeling that moment, because we've all argued with our moms and we all get frustrated and we all like kind of sit back and go like, wait, do my friends even like me, or do I have friends? And like a lot of those things you really just feel resonating with you. The one that was like, I heard that you catch more flies with honey than water. And I'm just thinking I just think I lack honey. That one cracked me up so good. Just like, that's great.
Oh yeah, for sure. Where it's just like you're like, why do I have such a hard time like keeping friends or making friends, but you just can't help yourself sometimes when you like, I don't know, give people a hard time or call somebody out or maybe do something you shouldn't have done, and you're just like, oh well, yeah.
I guess people don't love a sarcastic jerk. Who knows?
Right?
I was told they did.
In the movies they do. This is what the heck. Yeah.
So you guys were quarantined together, so that kind of made it easy to normally ask about the cast and how that came about. But since it's like, who's the closest person to me, that's what we're doing.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Like a lot of times I feel like when I really think about it, I think it did help us a lot, because I feel like if you have anything in the world that you could do, you have a lot of room, you have a lot of options, it can be really overwhelming. But if you kind of if you purposely restrict yourself, that can help. But sometimes just the circumstances restricting, you can make something better, because I feel like you don't have a lot of choices. So we had to like work in a very small, limited range of space and thought. And so we had like, we could go deeper versus because we weren't overwhelmed with options. It was just the two. We couldn't have like a room full of people in the scene, or like, so yeah.
Well, you did such a great job with it. And honest to goodness, like, I thought that there was like at least 6 actors, just because you have people, the person mowing, and you have the mom in the car, and you have what you assume is the dad mowing, I guess. And you would never know the roommate that you're like knocking the coffee cup out of their hand or whatever. It's just like, you wouldn't know that they were just both of you. It's really, really deceptive in such a good way.
Yeah, thank you.
Really well done. So geez, I know that obviously limited time, limited space, limited cast. Were there any other like challenges that came up while you were filming that were just like, oh, well, we weren't expecting that little road bump?
Honestly, so everything I do with my sister Maria, who is the cinematographer, and I am not a cinematographer. I'm not. So like the technical issues of, I don't know light placement. I don't know how to do I'm just not, that's just not where my brain is a lot of the time. So we just had our cell phones and we had like a tripod and a couple other things, like equipment wise. But I I video chatted my sister and I was like, will you just give me and Lizzie a quick rundown of like, and she gave us so many good tips. It was so useful, but that was really hard for sure. Cause I was just like, give me whatever you can to make this easier. And then we had lots of little issues of like, just, I feel like every film race, there's always something when you're editing. There's always like formatting issues or file types and things like that. And we had those. There were some files that just like got shrunk and were really small and low quality. And I was like, well, that shot is going to be low quality, or like the color would go in and out. And I'm just like, well, that's just going to be the way it is. Cause because I just, equipment wise, it definitely wasn't, because there were so many beautiful films in the top 10 when we were watching them, because like the first 5 that played were like these gorgeous cinematic masterpieces, and I was like, oh no, like we're not gonna make it. This isn't look good, because it just, so yeah, definitely, because I think one of the biggest roadblocks was just I'm used to working with a team of people who are better at certain things than I am, and using those people for sure.
I really get that. I have my group of people that I lean on and fill in the gaps for, like, that's why you have a cast, that's why you have a crew, that's why you have, why you build a team, because everybody has their strong points and stuff. But you really came through, and this film is definitely not missing anything.
Thank you.
That score, how did you decide on the score? Because it's got good timing, and it's got a lot of character and emotion behind it.
Yeah, so I pitched to Lizzie. I was like, for some reason, I really would love like an old French jazzy vibe. And Lizzie was like, I can do Italian. How about that? Like classical Italian. And I was like, that sounds great. And Lizzie sang it, amazing voice. Yeah. Oh my God. I need to release just the track sometime because it's mind blowing. I listen to like all the time. But Lizzie's mom plays piano. And so they work together on that, just more, internet stuff. And we put those things together, like just voice and the piano, and threw some reverb on it. I knew that our script, from just reading it, looked like it was going to be the full 6 minutes, like down to the last second. So we wanted something 6 minutes long, and I knew that it was going to go from like more silly and quirky to kind of more serious. So I wanted, okay, let's have 3 minutes of kind of just like fun, quirky, upbeat, and then 3 minutes of kind of something sad. So they found 2 really old public domain Italian songs and just knocked it out. And my expectations were already super high because I know they're really talented, but they still exceeded them. And I think I cried. I'm not a crier. I don't cry in movies or anything, but I definitely, like, I listened to it. Maybe it's just out of delirious, like, sleep, deprivation. I shed a tear and I was like, this is so beautiful. Oh my God. Yeah. Cause the score, I think, probably one of the best things about the short, honestly, from my perspective. It was just gorgeous, and that was the one thing that I didn't touch, that was just given to me, and it was really cool.
That's so cool. It really was a great score, and definitely added to just the brilliance of the entire piece. So another, just because there's so many, like, every single scene should be just dissected and talked about for an hour, I think, just because it's so good, and there's so much like good timing and good feeling behind it. Another one that I was just like cracking up at and I have to ask you about is when you're chugging that bottle, like the gallon of water, and also the framing is turned sideways. What on earth and how and why? And I liked it so much.
I think those two little snippets back to back, like, because I like things to be intimate, and to be relatable, and I wanted to push it to that point as much as I could, uh, because I don't know, I feel like those are things that aren't necessarily, they're more definitely talked about more now, I feel like, but not as much as they used to be, and not as normalized as I feel like it should be. And I just wanted something cute and something funny and relatable, and just showing maybe the same thing but shown through two different personalities, and one's kind of, sheepish and, like, shy, and one is just like, woo, yeah, that's great, and definitely I just wanted to follow, like, the body slam on the bed, and just, I like that since it's sideways and the water's dripping down my chin, it's kind of like the water's going like this way, so it just kind of feels kind of awkward. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like doing things that maybe, uh, if I know it'll make my parents uncomfortable watching it, I'm like, okay, yes, this is just edgy enough to make my parents a little bit uncomfortable, for sure. Yeah.
I understand that. I definitely, as a 19-year-old, did like think it was a super quirk to actually drink the gallon waters and walk around. So for me, that was like,
Yeah,
yes, that was me. That was that time of my life.
actually, it's a good workout too.
Yeah, just you're tough, you're strong, you're hydrated.
Yeah.
Did with the coffee maker, did you just rip apart a coffee maker for that scene?
Yeah, well, we had an old one, and then we got a new one because the old one only worked if you, like, plugged it in, didn't have an on and off button. And it was just kind of falling apart. So I was like, this is old and crappy. Let's just take this apart. Because I think I originally wrote it as like a toaster or something, but we only had one toaster that we used. So I was like, no, okay, let's find an appliance that is old and crappy that we don't use anymore, and just dissect it. And we did. I just tore it apart. Like, I just broke pieces and, like, ripped it all apart. So yeah.
I was thinking that, like, did they have to put that back together?
Oh God, no, that would be horrible. Never happened.
Another one is the scene where she's baking something and the smoke is just rolling out of that oven. Was that something, like, did you just set something in there to burn, or what did you do to get that scene?
Yeah, that's another thing that, like, I wrote, and I was like, I don't know how we're gonna do that, but I'm putting it in there, kind of thing. Because I was like, can I do it in post? Will that look really bad if I throw some smoke in there and, like, afterwards? But it was actually my sister Maria who was like, do you have incense? Can you just, like, throw an incense burner in there and let it sit there for a while, and don't open it till you're filming so all the smoke will come out? And I was like, sure, let's try it. And then it worked, and you can even see bits of ash, like, flying out and stuff. So yeah, it really sold, and we didn't have to burn anything. We were getting ready to just throw some food in there and burn it, but yeah, we didn't have to do that, fortunately.
I loved it. I definitely was like, did they just burn the crap out of something? And was curious how, but that's a brilliant way to achieve that scene. Is there anything about the film, like, particularly like a scene or a moment or just like the accomplishment of it? Is there something you're extra proud of from this film?
I'm really proud of, honestly, the just willingness to just give it their all, because Lizzie really brought it. And I've worked with Lizzie in other creative projects, but I wouldn't say that they're a super, like jump on, like, acting projects and stuff like that. They're kind of few and far between. Even though Lizzie did do a lot of theater growing up and stuff, it's something that maybe is more nerve-wracking. But since it was just the two of us, I think it was a very, like, chill, safe environment, and we could just, like, do whatever we wanted and play with scenes and do a couple takes in a row and just kind of mess around and stuff. And Lizzie really brought it, so I'm really proud of that. I'm really happy with how the script turned out, because I didn't really put too much thought into thinking that it was good. It was just kind of there. And while, like, I think it's really funny that I feel like I said, I feel like some of the best lines in it weren't written by me. I wrote 99% of the script, but, like, there's a couple lines in there that are just really beautiful that, like, Lizzie wrote and my sister Maria wrote. So I'm really just happy with that. Like Lizzie wrote the line where my character's lying on the ground and listening to music, and I'm deconstructing the song and how it goes from like, it's like a melancholy nature, but I don't know, something like, it's a really long, like thought out thing. It's really beautiful, and yeah, I'm just really proud of everyone's support and everyone's contributions, and because I'm definitely a team person, and I love delegating to things to people who are better at that thing than I am, and everyone really brought it, that contributed, even though it was a very small group of people. Everyone who lent a hand, including like Lizzie's mom, like every single part that was contributed, just really was great. It was awesome.
It really, really was a top-notch film. So
Mm-hmm.
I do have, I think, kind of a two-parter question. With Tallgrass, our slogan, our like thing is stubbornly independent. And I just kind of want to ask, like, what does stubbornly independent mean to you?
Um, I have always been a stubbornly independent person, like just in life in general. And I feel like independent shouldn't mean doing everything yourself and being an island. Like I said, like delegating is great, working with a team is wonderful. Being stubbornly independent means don't compromise your values or your vision or anything that means something important to you in order to satisfy someone else's, we need to get this out faster, we need to do, like, sometimes like you feel like you have to, and maybe sometimes you do have to, but if you can't, no matter what, if you can, just stick to your guns and stick to what you know is best, even if someone else is asking something else of you. You probably know what you want your project to turn out to be and look like, and so in that way, it's good to separate yourself and to stick to what you know is going to turn out the best, for sure. Because I mean, we have all done something that was, being produced by somebody or being made by somebody else, where they made a lot of decisions and you had to compromise a lot of things, and it may not have turned out the exact way you wanted it to, because like you have to compromise sometimes. But yeah, and I love just the idea of independent film in general, because you really are seeing what um, the creator wanted you to see, so that's really cool.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for that. And then the second question I wanted to ask, kind of on those lines, we have obviously tons of filmmakers and aspiring filmmakers who participate in Tallgrass Film Festival, and I'm sure they're here today. Do you have any advice or words of wisdom that you want to hand out to them in case they're watching?
Yeah, for sure. Mainly, I want to get more words of wisdom, and I want to learn more, because I'm at the very beginning of my journey, and I'm just like a dry sponge that needs to absorb all this information. But anything that I've learned is just like, if it excites you and if it interests you at all, just do it. Don't like wait till you have a nicer camera, or like wait till you have better audio equipment, or wait till you have more people involved, or you can do whatever. Just go out there and do it. We all have camera phones, you can write something and go out there and film it, edit it together on like a Windows Movie Maker free kind of thing, and throw it online, like just constantly be making your own stuff. And especially like, and if you're an actor, I would say go ahead and like audition and go out there and try to get involved in stuff, but create your own content too. There's no, if you're a comedic actor, like write skits for yourself and like film them and put them online, like constantly be creating your own content, because for me as a creator, if I'm not doing something, I feel like, what am I doing with my life if I'm not constantly like working on something? So maybe that's just me, but I would say just like, don't wait for X, Y, and Z. Just do it. Just go out there and do it. Even if it's like, low quality, bad audio, whatever, just go out there and do it, for sure.
Yeah, because if you have that content made, if you already have the idea, somebody might be ready to say, hey, let's plug that in, let's do it nicer now. Or you have all these like backlogs of these brilliant things that you've done that you can then turn into something bigger and better later.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the only way you can let people know about yourself is if you put yourself out there, right?
Yeah, no one can read all the documents you have on your computer that are brilliant screenplays. Like, people are only going to see your stuff if you like put it out into the world, you know?
Definitely in this time where everything is virtual and everything is accessible, it's the perfect time, I think, right now to just be putting it out there.
Easier now than it's ever been. I mean, we all have more time now than we did before. So like, it's definitely time to take advantage of that for sure.
Indeed. So, what are you working on next? Do you have any projects coming up? Do you have anything in the books? Anything you want to do that you want to shout out? Hey, let's do a thing.
I honestly, riding off the high of this whole ordeal has been definitely making me want to jump on another short film project. Which that's it. That's as far as I've gone with that, which is where it's like, I want to do it. Don't have anything ready yet, but I would love to collaborate with some other artists in Wichita and like get my team back together and just make more stuff. As of right now, I mean, I have a podcast that we only have 2 episodes out, but I'm also like always editing that. We just talk about queer film history, so just like film and television, but like through the lens of just like queer characters and queer filmmakers and stuff like that. It's called the Gaze Code Podcast. So I'm always working on that, and I'm just ready to, because like I said, like I'm either working on something or itching to work on something. And right now I think I'm in a little space of just itching to work on something.
So the Gaze Code Podcast, can you just find that on anything that plays podcasts?
It's on Apple Music, it's on Spotify, it's on like Google Play or whatever it's called. We have it on Instagram and TikTok. We have a TikTok too, but it's just at the Gaze Code Podcast. So we have little clips on there and stuff, and then we have links to where you can listen.
Fantastic. I'll definitely be listening to that.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing so much about your film with us. It was really brilliant, and I'm so glad that I got to experience it, and everybody else did too.
So good, and just thank you so much for having me. And I still feel a little unworthy of everything, and it's been just such a pleasure to talk with you, and it just means a lot to me. The little moments that got you excited or like that you were really into, it just makes me, it's just really nice. It's really cool, and just talking with people who watched it and enjoyed it has been really awesome, and it's been great. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you everybody for watching, and enjoy Tallgrass, 18th annual Tallgrass.